Oh, hey, what's up, guys? This is the greatest show with my boy Ivan, and I'm Jeremy, and we're doing another movie review for you today. We just watched The Darkest Hour. It's starring Gary Oldman, and he plays Winston Churchill. And so what's going on in this movie is Winston Churchill he just got elected Prime Minister of Britain, and he has to deal with some really tough times. Nazi Germany has invaded Europe, and they're touching it down into France, and he had to decide whether he would negotiate with Hitler and the Nazi regime or continue fighting against great odds. So, Ivan, going in the movie, what do you think about The Darkest Hour?
Well, I knew it was going to be a historical biopic, right, about Winston Churchill. I thought myself that it was interesting because you get the behind-the-scenes look at what's going on in their form of parliament and government.
Mm-hmm.
You also see how at a time of desperation and peril, how a country might react in certain ways to certain threats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I enjoyed the psychological part of it because I felt like there were times where people feel like they couldn't do anything else, you know? And in this movie, that's what they made. They made it feel like there was no other choice but to fight. And if you didn't fight, well, then you'd end up enslaved or end up being part of the German surrender team, like France and Belgium at the time.
Don't want to do that. You
Yeah.
can't surrender, right?
Yeah, you know, he has a line in there. He says, "We will conquer," or what does he say? He says, "We will win and we will conquer," something like that.
Oh yeah,
so
rally up the troops.
That's what it is. V for victory, right?
Yeah.
But first he went like that, bum up your ass. Then he went V.
Well, yeah. For me, before going into it, I was expecting some. I was expecting some propaganda. You know, this is a war piece, and of course, history is written by the winners, and so and I was expecting like a very complex character, and I think Gary Oldman did a pretty good job of portraying Winston Churchill. I was pretty interested with him for a while, but with these history movies, I kind of predicted or already knew what's going to happen in general, and so I kind of lost interest in it a little bit because Winston Churchill mumbles a lot apparently.
Yeah.
And he's just mumbling and talking to his advisory board, and his advisory board is saying, "No, you can't fight. We have to talk about negotiations and
They're speaking.
Gary Oldman though or Winston Churchill he's a real badass brash guy. Wears his heart in his sleeves. Gun at the hip. Real Donald Trump with it.
Oh man, you have to bring it in. You have to bring in the Donald.
I thought it was a real parallel with how Donald Trump Donald Trump is seen, and because they were saying like, man, you are so unpredictable. We don't know what you're gonna say. You gotta chill out. But he turns out being the savior. He turns out making a good call, and 5 years later, history is written by the winners, folks. And I was like, man, that's real similar to where Donald Trump is right now. Nobody likes him, but.
Well, I think the difference between Winston Churchill and Donald Trump is that Winston, he didn't really want to do what Trump is doing. I feel like Trump tries to separate people. Winston is trying to bring people together for a cause that was worth it. I mean, if you can imagine back then, Germany was there was imminent invasion, right? It was going to happen. Germany is going to come into England, and they were going to bridge the gap there and take over that whole Western European area. So in our case, with Donald Trump, this area of, America itself has the biggest and strongest military that's ever been seen on this planet. I don't know if it justifies having an attitude like that. Like, because we can't be like that all the time, you know, with the president like this. We have to have something like that only in times of war.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump seems to have a war set mind in a time where there is no major war threat like Germany was or the Nazis were.
Well, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
But it was just funny. It was funny to see Winston Churchill's mentality. Yeah. And it was being portrayed as a good thing. It's like, yeah, we're gonna keep fighting. And then, you know, I'm thinking this is very similar to the American attitude. We're gonna keep fighting the terrorists. Like, you know, back in World War II, the clear enemy was the Germans, the Nazis. That was a very clear enemy, and so we were able to unite and you know, become a world superpower through, you know, the economic profits of war. And it seems like we're doing that again with, you know, the war in Iraq and Iran, but now the enemy is a little bit more unclear. It's these terrorists. Like, what's a terrorist? You know what I mean? And so, like, we're constantly trying to fight terrorists, and, you know, in movies, terrorists are portrayed as brown-skinned people with beards and burqas or head wraps, and little kids with bomb vests, and, like, that's considered the enemy now. And so, is that a new form of propaganda? I'm thinking it is, man. I'm thinking it is.
It very well could be. And, you know, the thing is, terrorism is more of an idea. It's not a race. It's not a nation. I mean, that's the reason why we're fighting in so many different countries. If you can imagine, we generalize here in the U.S., the Middle East, but Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Libya, all those places, Syria, you know, those places are part of the Middle East, but they're all different cultures, different nations, different languages even. Yeah. You know, so we can't generalize terrorists as those kinds of...
But we do, though.
But we do.
But we do, right? And why do we do that? I say it's because of the fucking movies. I say it's because of the news. And so that's why I'm telling you folks, be careful of that, man. Well, who are we really fighting here? What's really fueling this war? Why are we chasing down these people? Are they, you know, is a brown person with a beard and a head wrap really automatically a terrorist? Be careful with that, man. Be careful what the media is telling us. Yeah. You know, I thought the movie was a little boring because 75% of the movie was him dialoguing with his advisory board, who were kind of his adversaries. Yeah. Like
kind of bitches.
Yeah, they were like, we need to negotiate with Hitler, and, you know, old boy Winston, he ain't trying to do it. He's braggadocious, he's brash. He's like, no, I ain't doing it. And that goes on for 75% of the movie, so I kind of dozed off for a second. You know, it was because he was mumbling a lot, and it was just like, man, like, okay, we know, we get it, like, you know, we don't like, they don't agree, and then they never changed each other's minds. You know what I mean? They just kind of. So that was like 75% of the movie, and then he starts talking to the people, and obviously the people is like, no, we ain't gonna bow down to Hitler. We gotta fight. You know, good old fighting spirit, you know.
Yeah. See, the question is, what if they did? What if you saw a swastika on top of the Buckingham Palace?
Oh gosh, dude!
Or on top of Big Ben.
I tell you what, man. If Germany won World War II, the world would look crazy right now. Yeah. We would have so much advancement in technology. Not that it's good or anything, but oh my gosh. Let me tell you about a little thing called Operation Paperclip.
Okay, let's hear about this. I wasn't in the know when Operation Paperclip was going down.
So Operation Paperclip was when the American government withdrew Nazi scientists out of Germany and used that technology and information and all that research they did testing on the Jewish people and all types of crazy military technology and medical technology and just everything, understanding how the human body works. And the Nazis were able to do this because they openly experimented on countless of numbers of Jewish people and anybody they wanted to, and
no remorse.
They were able
No
to
restriction.
they were able to find out many things, especially they were very curious about how a man can survive in space. You know, so they would put people in pressured tanks. They would give them salt water, see them pull their eyes out from drinking like a certain amount of salt water, like just keep them, like just do a variety of like horrible experiences, crazy stuff. Chop off their limbs and reattach it and see what happens.
Yeah.
All that crazy stuff.
See, but let's say in the American view, let's say that research is out now. Let's say it's been done by these people. Is it wrong to just take that info?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying if it's wrong or right. They did.
I know they did.
And now we're here.
Yeah, but let's say we took the info and used it to better them and better ourselves. Maybe. I'm not sure if we did.
I mean, we benefited from it for sure.
Yeah,
we
that's
were
what
able.
I mean. There's definitely benefit.
Because we were able to recruit a rocket scientist by the name of Werner von Braun. He was the main rocket scientist. And then he became the backbone of the NASA. You see what I did there? NASA. Kind of sounds like the same things, folks.
Oh man!
Look up Werner von Braun.
Okay,
you know, and
you're saying the research from Project Paperclip
all the
spurred.
It did. It's
eventually
the reason,
became.
It's the reason why
NASA.
we were able to beat the Russians in the space race. It's the reason why we have Pepsi Cola. All these things, man. Everything. All this research.
So we took from the Germans. Basically, the research was done, so we made the best we could out of it.
Oh yeah. I mean, we definitely capitalized on that.
Yeah.
And winner is written by the history is written by the winners, folks. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah, but the Americans also innovate on a lot of things, if you think about it.
Oh yeah, I mean they innovated off the death and research of humans. And yeah, I mean, man, you gotta crack some eggs to make an omelet.
But if you think about it too, the Germans innovated based on American research and American innovation. Like the Wright brothers created flight, and the Germans said, "Why don't we put guns on those?"
Oh yeah, definitely.
Things, you know. You see, where Americans weren't thinking like that at the time. Of course, the American military was probably. I mean, that's probably how they kept in business. Howard Hughes, Boeing, all those people.
Oh yeah.
That's how they kept in business, right? You have to have
those
military
Boeing
contracts.
Bombs, those Boeing bombs. Whew.
Yeah.
They dropping them. Dropping on the terrorists, right?
Yeah. But so, in your honest opinion, was the fact that the Nazis happened historically a good thing? Or was it a bad thing? Or was it just something that needed to happen to progress humans into the technological field that it is now?
So you're saying if it wasn't for the Nazi regime, we wouldn't have these innovations?
Maybe. But because they definitely wanted to advance things, but for different purposes than us.
Well, they were willing to sacrifice human lives to advance. And I would argue we still are willing to sacrifice human lives to advance. You know what I mean? It's just not so blatantly out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have to cover it with you know with some wall, and you don't see what's going on. But I definitely think there's still experiments on humans and everything like that. So I'm not putting it past our government to do that. It's just not up front and not as common maybe or obvious,
If we were experimenting on people, what kind of people would these be?
Well, I read on the internet, supposedly.
There's a lot of things on there.
They know that we've put
You think terrorists?
Respiratory gases in the air in cities to see what happened, and it caused people cancer. I've heard that on different podcasts. So but I
wouldn't put it past us because
I wouldn't put it past us either.
Yeah, we are the only country that's ever used weapons of mass destruction, basically, on another country. If you think about it, there's no other country. Other countries have built weapons of mass destructions, or they have created weapons of mass destruction, but no one's ever used them except us.
You know what I think is funny? That like like we're able to say like, oh yeah, that happened in the past. That would never happen again. Like, oh yeah, the Catholic Church, you know, they molested boys, but people in our government would never do that. Or like, oh yeah, the Nazis, they experimented on humans and did that, but no one else would ever do that. Not America wouldn't do that. And like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I see a lot of parallels with oh yeah, they used propaganda back in World War II, but we don't use propaganda now. You know what I mean?
Oh,
you see what I'm saying? Like I said, why do we think when we say terrorist, we automatically think Muslim? Why is that?
That's
propaganda, folks.
Yeah.
Propaganda, folks.
The moment 9/11 happened in this country and it hit the news, and they automatically pointed the finger at certain types of people, that's when that whole idea came into place. And in the worst form, it comes out as a policy in the form of a ban, right? Yeah. That's what Donald Trump is trying to implement. Do you think that's right? Do you think? I'm not. I don't know. I'm not too sure, but like, there's definitely a correlation with, you know, Muslims and attacks, but so that's a tough call. I haven't done enough research to say if it's a good or bad thing, you know. But I've been to certain Muslim countries though. The people are nice if you're nice to them. It's people are people no matter where you go. You know, that's what I don't understand. In America, we live in a bubble where people don't move outside of America much. You know, they work every day, they get retired, they go home, they watch a movie like we're doing. You know, we gotta watch the movie, you gotta watch The Greatest Show here on YouTube. You know, so you got things to do. Yeah, you don't got time to go out and see and actually visit. See for yourself.
But...
You know, I bet Iraq is actually a beautiful place. It's just the media has become something of a window that...
Well, it's like a messed up filter. It's an ugly filter. Yeah,
there's a filter there. So people aren't looking at those people as people anymore. They're not looking at that.
Well, that's the main thing about propaganda or war. You got to dehumanize the enemy. You know, you got to make them look subhuman. You know, like they don't have human quality of a human. You know what I mean? And so, you know, that's the main thing about propaganda and the government controlling us. We have to have a common enemy, and right now the common enemy is terrorist.
Would you say that propaganda is fake news?
Yeah, definitely fake news.
Yeah. So let's say Winston Churchill. Let's say he wanted to spread fake news. Like he kept saying, "Be for victory. We are going to win, no matter what. No surrender." You know, these are things that inspire people to fight for. You know, for a cause that's worth fighting for. In his case, it was worth fighting for.
Yeah.
You know, but would spreading something like that be so bad, even if it's fake? Let's say Belgium, France had already fallen, Holland, you know, including Norway. You know, let's say those places had already fallen. They already surrendered Germany within a month. And Winston Churchill's like, no, if they're going to take us, it's going to take them years because I'm going to put inside these people.
Well, in hindsight and be able to watch the movie, what Winston Churchill did was a good thing. Yeah. And there's levels to lies, I think. You know, there's good lies and bad lies. And from the portrayal of the movie, he did a good thing, you know. Yeah. And so
I guess it's all about who wins, right? It's kind of like we have wartime presidents and peacetime presidents. Yeah. Right? So let's say we had a good wartime president like Abraham Lincoln, where he created a war. Right? Okay. Maybe. He might have been.
Oh, yeah.
You know, number 16, number 16, right?
Oh, honest Abe, just fighting for slavery, right? It's just, that was the story.
But let's say he had to create a war. It's a morally justified war. Where let's say another wartime president like George W. Bush Jr. created a war, but lacked judgment, lacked everything that was needed of a president at the time.
Well, let's look at these narratives about why we go to war. Like, abolish slavery. Obviously, that's a good reason to go to war. oh yeah, some fucking terrorist fucking crashed into the World Trade Center. Obviously, it's a good reason to go to war.
Yeah.
Oh, Pearl Harbor, that's a good reason to drop a nuke. But was that really the reason why we went to war, folks?
I don't know what else there could be.
Well, let's talk about, you know, the Confederates not wanting to pay their taxes, and you know, maybe if we won the war, we could tax the slaves as well instead of just taxing, you know, a slave owner.
That's true, because this country runs on a capitalist system. In order to generate or double the income, basically, you need to tax more people. So, yeah, that could have been. That could have been the agenda. Let's free the slaves.
Yeah,
but
that you know.
Yeah, but now they're taxpayers, right?
Yeah, that's like so. But you know what's funny, man? You know, there's this one scene that stuck in my mind during this movie. And it's when so Winston Churchill is addressing Parliament, and he has. You know, he wrote a speech with his assistant, who's a female, of course, a typewriter. He's notary. And, you know, Winston Churchill is making a great speech during Parliament. And then for some reason, it cuts back to, like, when he was writing the speech. And then the woman is, like, sitting on a staircase writing. And it's, like, next to the bathroom door. And, you know, good old Winston Churchill, splish splash, taking a bath. And it's like a 10-second scene. He's like, I'm naked, and he comes out, opens the door, and like shakes in front of her, like tries oh, get out of my way, and she's like, ooh, and like runs away.
Duck for cover.
And I was like, Harvey Weinstein much? Like what is that shit? What was the point of that scene? It was a 10-second scene that cut to a shower scene, and you know, you don't see his ass, but you see his naked feet and like stand in front of the lady, and then like she like runs away. And I was like, what was the point of that scene? Was there any point to that scene, Ivan? Did that scene contribute anything to you? What was that all about?
There are two things I think with that scene. I think, first of all, it showed his personality. Like, he didn't give a damn. That's what they were trying to show.
Oh, okay.
Right? Okay. Like, this is a guy, he's going balls out. Right, balls out. He's coming out of that shower.
Yeah, he's coming out hard.
He's coming out hard, real hard. You know,
I mean,
you know that typist was pretty cute.
Yeah, she ran for the hills.
Woo! Okay, second is the sexism at the time was very real. Right?
Yeah.
Feminism wasn't a thing yet. It was sexism. That was the thing, right? So. Females had certain roles, as in they were typists. You know, they type the speeches that men are making. Yeah. They also couldn't go into classified rooms. They couldn't go into map rooms or anything. But Winston Churchill brought her in because you know she's his personal assistant.
For one little scene, shot in at the end.
Yeah, you know, because he realized, wow, you know, her brother died for them, died for him. You know, her brother was a soldier.
In Dunkirk.
Yeah, in Dunkirk. Going on his way to Dunkirk and died.
Yeah. Yeah,
so, you know, she deserved to know.
But what was the point? So the point of the scene was he was balls hard and coming out strong?
Yeah, you know.
I'm thinking that was just a little nod to the Hollywood producers, a little
like,
wink,
maybe
wink.
This is wrong, guys.
You know,
maybe we're doing it wrong.
Yeah. I think that was they're trying to say, like, oh yeah, this is not how we do that. Like that was back in the day.
Yeah.
We don't do that no more.
Yeah, you can't do it.
And then like and then like earlier in the movie there was a few scenes where like the women were clearly like had their roles and like. The advisors told like this is what you do. And so it was kind of like a nod of how things were back in the day and how was it okay just to you know walk naked in front of your assistant and it was all good. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's interesting, you know.
Yeah, definitely, because I didn't see it that way. What I saw was just a funny part of the movie. They're trying to mix in some comedy.
I think it's a little nod, but every joke has some truth behind it.
Yeah, that's what it is. But, you know, because in the scene, he's screaming through the door in the shower.
Yeah, telling her what to write.
Telling her, you know, write this, la 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 la. And then he said, I'm coming out naked.
No, he said, I'm coming out and boom. Like,
I'm coming out.
She had no time. She had no time to react.
You gotta hit it with the surprise.
Like,
boom.
I'm naked. I'm coming out strong. This is how I roll.
Out, man.
So,
yeah.
I was like, what the hell?
Winston Churchill nuts, man. Winston Churchill nuts.
But so overall, what did you think of the movie? What do you give it?
Overall, I thought this movie is only for history buffs. It's nothing a regular moviegoer would enjoy because it's mostly dialogue. It's not a motion picture, it's a dialogue picture almost.
Yeah.
It's a historical film, so...
I would agree with you. The dialogue... I mean, Gary Oldman, did really good job portraying, and the whole accent of him mumbling was kind of cool for a few minutes, but it just got kind of old to me. And then,
they're talking English, so...
Yeah, they're mumbling, and you can't hear them that well.
Yeah, sometimes they're saying things we just can't catch.
And 75% of the movie is him arguing with his advisory board on whether he should negotiate or keep fighting. And then he talks to the people. There's a scene where he goes out and takes a train for once and talks to the local English people, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna fight Hitler to the end.
Yeah,
and
so
so
kids, never surrender. Never.
So the dialogue was pretty predictable. So it wasn't anything profound or anything like amazing to me. So I mean, only for I would say only for history buffs.
Yeah.
So I give it a C. I give it a C.
A C.
Maybe a C minus.
Yeah, I think in those scenes they were trying to show, there's heart to the policy that these people make in power. Like, they can't just take this lightly because people's lives are at stake, and literally the whole nation was at stake at the time. So yeah, but in my opinion, I'd probably give it a B. Yeah, because there were some parts that definitely were just just time to close your eyes, right? I hate to say it that way, but that's the way it was.
Yeah.
But I watched the whole thing through. I didn't sleep, but I kept looking over at you. I kept looking over at you. You missed the whole speech.
It was a 2 minute, but I knew what he was gonna say. When I woke up, I knew what he said.
Yeah. See, so that's what it is. So he was like, hey man, I slept a little bit. But yeah, if you're a history guy, you love World War II, and you're really interested in how people tried to compromise or negotiate or fight against
But the thing was, there was no compromise. There was no compromise. There was no. That was a good thing. If you there was a good quote at the end. He says, "If you change your mind, you won't change anything." I thought that
if you never change your mind, you'll never.
If you never change your mind, you'll never change anything.
Yeah, you'll never make a change.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty badass.
Yeah, so you guys go out there, make a change. Watch The Greatest Show, click subscribe, like, comment below, let us know what you think.
Watch out for that propaganda, folks.
Yeah, including us.